there are some interesting scenarios concerning Iowa. So if you're not aware, the Big Ten and the SEC basically came out this week and in very delicate language basically said, we're going to mandate that we are going to get at least 4 spots each in the playoff going forward, whether that's in a 14-team or a 16-team field. So listen to Iowa's situation and the Big Ten in the past playoffs. So 2014, Iowa's not a factor. Okay, 2015, we know that because of their outstanding year at 12-1 after losing the Big Ten championship game, they're safely in the playoff. No issue there. We move on to 2016. Of course, bad season, nothing there. 2017 at 7-5, not a factor there. We move up to 2018. Iowa did not finish the regular season in the top 16, but they would have had a gripe. You had Florida, LSU, Penn State, Kentucky, and West Virginia all with 3-loss seasons. You had Texas with a 4-loss season, so that would be Iowa's direct competition in 2018. Iowa was 8-4 along with 6 other teams. So you had a log jam of teams that the committee would have had to select from in terms of the playoffs there. Now let's get to a more interesting year here in 2019. So Iowa was number 16 in the country at 9-3 at the end of the regular season. So technically they would have been the last team in the playoff at number 16 and would have played LSU, that Joe Burrow team.
Oh, great.
In the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that threw 60 touchdown passes.
Yeah, that'd have been fun. Although that was an Iowa team. I would say that was an Iowa team that I think could have hung with a lot of teams. I mean, they put a big rip through that USC team. So
now if we had our USC folks on here, they would have an argument there.
Oh, I'm sure they got an argument.
They lost a quarterback in that game.
Yada, yada, yada. What was their excuse all of this year for being sucky?
Well, I don't know that they sucked. But anyway.
You don't know if they sucked this year?
Well, they were 7-6. Iowa was 8-5.
I never said Iowa was good either, but I'm saying from a USC standard, weren't they projected as a top 10? Weren't they preseason top 10?
Yeah, close to it.
Okay, well,
okay.
7-6.
We diverge.
Huge.
Let's get back to 2019 here. So what would have sucked for Iowa football that year is though number 16 in the country at 9-3, but no group of 5 in the top 16. So you got to move a group of 5 into the playoff. Memphis gets the nod up, and that would have ousted Iowa. Unfortunately for the Hawkeyes in 2019.
In 2020, but hold on. Are you looking at the final regular season poll or the final poll?
The college football rankings. That's what determines who makes the playoffs.
Okay, but I thought you were looking at the post, like the AP poll at the end of the season. Okay.
The final regular season after championship weekend. I've done these things a few times. I kind of know what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Where he's questioning whether, no, this is the 3rd week of the season. Shoot. Okay. 2020, of course, the pandemic year. Iowa at number 15 in the country at 6-2. They would have played Clemson in the first round of the playoffs. 2-15 matchup. In 2021,
would have made it again.
Number 15 in the country after losing the Big Ten championship game. Number 15 at 10-3. Listen to this. Would have had a rematch against Michigan in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know if they would have gone for that. If they would have maybe massaged that a little bit.
That would have been in Ann Arbor then? Is that the new format that they're tinkering with, still having home venues be the sites? Okay. If it had been in Ann Arbor, I'm sure that would have went over well. Yeah, great.
However, listen to this.
Real quick, against Cade, that would have been a rematch against Cade. Go ahead.
Yes, it would have been. However, listen to this. Now, would this not have sucked? And this is one of the reasons why I texted you. It wasn't just, okay, I was number 15. They would play Michigan. They're number 15 here. They play Clemson. The ACC only had 1 team in the top 16. The stipulation is that they get at least 2 bids. So that would elevate Wake into the top 16, kick out somebody else.
And then G5 didn't have top 16 either.
G5 did, but the SEC only had 3. They need another one as well.
Why? Again, explain to me why we need to have conferences guaranteed
Because the Big Ten and the SEC are flexing their muscles and saying we need at least 4 teams in.
Stupid. Don't. Look, and I'm a Big Ten guy, but that's stupid. Why are we still doing it?
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
The ACC shouldn't get 2 in. There should be no guarantees. Maybe conference champion, I'm okay with that. But after that, it should not matter.
My initial response when I read that was, okay, well, that's the Big Ten and the SEC, bullying the other 2 conferences. But you know what? The Big Ten and the SEC are always going to get 4 teams in. Then I started to go back here and thought, not all the time. No, not all the time. Of course, 2022 was the 7-5 team. This is a good one right here. I love this one. So the Big Ten only had 3 teams in the top 16. You know who would have gotten the 4th? This is probably my favorite of all the teams that would have been elevated into the top 16.
What year?
This is 2022. So you only have Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. That's pretty much a common theme every year.
Would have been Maryland.
This season, you've got Illinois and Purdue tied at 8-4. So we assume Purdue won the game. That's the Purdue team with Aiden O'Connell that went to the Big Ten championship game. Okay. They would have gotten the 4th. The team that eventually went 8-6 would have made the playoffs. Love that.
They would have been 8-6 with the playoffs. So
yeah, because they lost the Big Ten championship game by 1 million points to Michigan, and then they would have played
someone they would have lost to.
Yeah, they would have. Oh, they would have played Georgia. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that would have went well. Who did they lose to in the bowl game that year?
They lost
LSU?
to
no,
LSU like 63-7.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. In the Outback Bowl.
But they didn't have Rondell Moore and Aiden O'Connell. They had a ton of guys up.
You mean
who was the great
David
really
Bell?
Wide receiver?
Not Rondell Moore.
No, that's right. He was 2018. That was Aiden O'Connell and Bell.
David Bell.
David Bell. And a few other guys. Anyway, I'm sure LSU missed a bunch of guys too. 2023, Iowa would have been right on the cusp. They would have had an argument. There were 4 teams in the playoff, or would have been in a 16-team playoff. LSU, Arizona, Louisville, and Notre Dame at 9-3. Iowa was 10-3, but they were not ranked in the top 16 in the country. So we would have been on here arguing Iowa's case, but
I wouldn't have been arguing. Look, the fact that we having these conversations about the 2021 Iowa team and the 2023 Iowa team, those teams,
I enjoy this.
Were not as good as their record showed.
I enjoy this.